All right, Jose, what's going on here today, man?
I'm jumping off a plane.
Jumping out of a plane? What are you, crazy? Ready to do this?
No.
Yep, that's me. Paying $250 to jump out of a plane just for the thrill of it. I loved it for a moment, even though it doesn't look like it. Kind of like this guy. I felt I was flying, or just a lot of wind in my face. But of course, Red Bull didn't sponsor me back then. I wish I had. Red Bull sells 7.5 billion cans a year. That's close to 1 can per person in the world, because people are hooked up on this stuff and you see their logo everywhere. But this is nothing compared to Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola sells almost 2 billion units a day. So how does Red Bull afford all of this? That's a company forensic story. All accounts agree that it was hot as hell when this guy called Dietrich Mateschitz landed in Bangkok in 1982. He was exhausted, jet-lagged, but had to meet with a local distributor called Caya. I tried really hard to get the names right this time. I hope I did. But anyway, Juvitya saw this Austrian dude struggling, so he offered him a specially brewed tonic. Not just any tonic, his own recipe. Mateschitz drank it, and it was instant. It was one drink, and suddenly the jet lag was gone. Mateschitz was hooked like an addict on heroin, or like someone on Red Bull anyway, because every time he visited Thailand, he told his driver to stop at a store and get some Krating Dang. Whatever this miracle beverage was, he loved it, and he was not the only one. You see, blue-collar workers, farmers, drivers, everybody on Thailand was drinking this thing. And it wasn't by chance. Caya Juvitya was a marketing genius, because tonics and these types of specialty drinks, they've been popular in Asia for some time. Some are even sold as medicine, and Thailand was no exception to this rule. They were drinking these Japanese and these Korean brands, but they were expensive, so blue-collar workers couldn't really afford them. But Juvitya felt that they were the ones who needed it most, so he analyzed the existing beverages, looked at the ingredient list, and then he realized that he could create a recipe of his own. After all, he had been working in pharmaceuticals before. And we are going to talk about the ingredients, but later. Because in the 70s, Juvitya had created this tonic. The bottle had 2 impulsion balls ramming against each other with a yellow sun in the background. And he had made sure that it was cheap. He had a tough upbringing as a dog farmer, so his audience was people like him, laborers, workers, and drivers, factory workers. And Krating Dang was a success. In less than 2 years, people all over Thailand were drinking it just to get through the day. And then Juvitya started sponsoring Muay Thai tournaments. So these are absolutely essential to Thai culture. And he cemented his drink as like a must-have at these events. So by this time, Mateschitz had tried it, Krating Dang had proved its worth, so the Austrian salesman did some research, found out that at the time, the largest taxpayer in Japan was an energy drink company. So there was potential for global scale. So Mateschitz approached Juvitya with an offer. Let's take this Krating Dang to Europe. And then fast forward to now, for many, it's just more than a drink. It's an icon. And that's all Mateschitz's work. Next, he made his mission to exploit the marketing side of Red Bull. But judging by what we see today, you could imagine that it would be the biggest challenge. Nowadays, Europe is one of Red Bull's hotspots. For example, in 2020, Red Bull grew the most in Turkey, in Germany, in Scandinavia, in Russia, and in Switzerland. And much more than that, the brand had cemented its name in global sports. Look at Formula One or even football, soccer. So no wonder Europe loves Red Bull, but it wasn't always like this. Red Bull was an idea at the beginning. It was kind of like a paradox because the beverage was more expensive than Coca-Cola. It came in a smaller can and it tasted weird, but it gave us energy. Nothing about Red Bull was making a lot of sense. So when Mateschitz tried to sell the idea to European investors, he ran into this brick wall because nobody wanted it. But he believed this Krating Dang made sense. So he convinced Juvitya for both of them to put $500,000 with the remaining 2% going to Juvitya's son. And they would take the brand to Europe themselves, but not before some changes. The flavor and the desired effects didn't have to change. On that side, everything was great, but the rest wasn't. Of course, we're gonna start with the name, which I am probably butchering by now, Krating Dang, because that would not click in the European market. But its meaning was significant. But let's pause here for a second. I need to talk about our sponsor for this video, which is ChartMogul, because tracking your SaaS metrics is absolutely vital. If you don't do it right, you might run into trouble. And we have, and we almost died because of it. And for years, we've been using ChartMogul to make sure that these numbers are accurate. So we generate revenue from a lot of sources, from SaaS to this YouTube channel to our consulting branch, and we consolidate all of that in their platform. But for SaaS specifically, which is their focus, they let you run cohort tables and lifetime value reports and filter customer sources and how they perform with the lifetime values. You can use tags to see customers from specific regions and how well they pay. And for companies under $10,000, ChartMogul is absolutely free to sign up. You can use the link chartmogul.com/Slidebean. And if you have over $10,000 in monthly subscriptions, you can write off $600 from your first year if you use the code Slidebean. Thanks again to our friends at ChartMogul for sponsoring today's video. So let's get back to this Red Bull story. When NVIDIA created his product, he needed a name that appealed to Thai culture. And all that he could think of was one thing, the gar. So native to Southeast Asia, this gar animal is big. Some can reach 7 feet in height at the shoulder and weigh up to 3,000 pounds. So these are massive dudes and they epitomize hard work and strength. So it was an ideal match for a beverage for the working class. So that's how he came up with this two bulls butting heads with a yellow sun in the background. Okay, so now we are going to talk about ingredients. Because NVIDIA realized that almost all of these tonics had the same core group of ingredients: caffeine, sucrose, glucose, and taurine. All NVIDIA did was make a specific recipe and add some flavor to it. That was honestly it. The recipe for the original Red Bull to this day remains unchanged. However, in some markets, it's caffeine content that changes, and you're gonna see why in a sec, because that's where things get very controversial, for better or worse. But first, let's talk about this other ingredient called taurine. And I need to get this out of the way quickly. It's not bull sperm.
They put real bull sperm in Red Bull.
Semen.
There's this, if you don't know what I'm talking about, since 2016, there's this myth on social networks, social media that says that taurine in Red Bull comes from bull sperm. It doesn't. Taurine is this sulfuric amino acid that's actually found in humans. We have it in our retinas, in our brain, and our heart, and our blood. And we get it from meat, we get it from fish, and some other animal products. So taurine comes from the Latin taurus, which means ox or bull. And the first extraction of taurine came from ox bile in 1827. Nowadays, Red Bull gets its taurine from just the pharmaceutical company that manufactures it. So no, it's not sperm. But back to the point. Taurine is an anti-inflammatory. Plus, there are suggestions that it can help with conditions like epilepsy. Now, that of course is not Red Bull's goal, or any other drink, any other energy drink for that matter. But taurine is in energy drinks honestly because of tradition. People believed that taurine helped improve athletic and mental performance. But regardless, taurine was controversial enough for countries to ban Red Bull altogether.
Red Bull Cola, the popular caffeine drink, has been banned in Germany this morning.
Heart attacks, strokes, respiratory illness, all kinds of things.
That's the very fascinating part. There's not enough evidence to prove that taurine in Red Bull is harmful, but there isn't enough to prove that it works. It's like the supplements, right? Anyway, in 2008, France dropped the ban as it could not officially prove that taurine was harmful. And the weird thing is that the ingredients list isn't controversial in Asia at all. But in Europe and the US, Red Bull has this bad reputation. Many say that it's dangerous for your health and can even cause death. And a lot of that focus is on the taurine. But let's not forget about the other ingredient, which is the caffeine. Now, of course, caffeine is addictive. But the good thing about caffeine is that it doesn't affect your economical, social, physical health like other drugs do. You can get hooked on it, yes. But let's look at the numbers, and for this, let's look at an original Red Bull can. So Red Bull has as much or more sugar than Coca-Cola, has a lot of caffeine, plus the controversial taurine. No wonder it gives you wings, or you end up in the hospital. In some cases, they drank 8 or more cans in a row. That is about 1.5 cups of sugar and 1.5 the daily recommended dosage of caffeine. So when it comes to partying, it's even worse. Ever since the 80s, people have mixed Red Bull with alcohol, and that we can agree that it's not healthy at all. even though it's kind of delicious. And believe it or not, carbonation has a lot to do with it. If you go to Thailand and try Krating Dang, and you'd see that there's no carbonation. This wasn't a thing in tonics back then. And Matisic knew that Europeans would absolutely prefer that. So that's how the world became addicted to Red Bull. Almost, because people enjoyed the beverage, but Matisic was gonna take things further. Sure, Krating Dang was aimed at workers, but Matisic had other ideas. When the brand launched in '87, he made it exotic. The can, the visuals, the price, it was more expensive, it was aimed at the elite, and the sense of adventure wasn't in anyone's mind when they were drinking Krating Dang in Thailand. They just needed to stay awake. In Europe, why not? Why not aim at the wealthy adventurers? And for this, Matisic had a clear strategy. He targeted parties, and skiers, and clubbers, and wealthy students. Why? Because they don't want a boring cup of coffee. He also paid popular university students to host parties and just give out Red Bulls. Matisic even started pimping out some of their cars with Red Bull logos, and that's how the famous Red Bull Mini Cooper was born. It was an effective grassroots campaign that worked to perfection. In the first year of existence, Red Bull sold 1 million cans, but Matisic wasn't satisfied. Red Bull had to become a cultural phenomenon. It had to be a conversation that transcended beverage and that blew people away. And that's where extreme sports finally came into the picture. In 1989, he partnered with Gerard Bergen, race car driver. And it was a small effort, a brand sponsoring a driver, not even a team. But after that, Red Bull didn't stop. Red Bull was sponsoring everything from BMX to skiing, from mountain biking to the Dakar Rally. And then there's this stuff and this stuff. Within each sport, Red Bull made sure that they were the ones who stood out. Every time Red Bull sponsored something, it was an all-out party and some Red Bull to hand out. Even if this recipe was successful, Matisic knew that partying wasn't for everyone. So as the brand gained even more momentum, so did the scope of sports under the Red Bull name. The company leaped from allying with one driver to sponsoring a whole Formula One team. And then he aimed at football. Red Bull has teams in Austria, the MLS, and the German Bundesliga. Most of these have had great success. And that's actually part of the magic. Red Bull was into ice hockey, drifting, motorcycle racing, and then Matisic took a man to the edge of space and had him jump. Why? Because they could afford it. It's more than fanfare. Every year, the brand becomes more successful, further fueling its expansion. But let's talk about Formula One for a sec. Red Bull acquired the failing Jaguar team for $1, but Matisic promised to invest $400 million. By 2018, the team was worth $640 million, and by 2021, it had won the championship 5 times. This is all part of Matisic's strategy. I know 2021 is very controversial, but after all, Red Bull won. Their recipe for Formula One success is the topic of conversation, because a lot of the money does come from selling just Red Bull cans, but they also make money from prizes and sponsorships and more things associated to Formula One. By the way, we have never talked about Formula One, but we're happy to if you want us to make a video, so let us know in the comments. And then, of course, we have the standalone projects. That includes spending $30 million to send Baumgarten to the edge of space and back. A lot of money for sure, but a 1-minute video on Red Bull's YouTube has 47 million views. What better promotion than that? It's estimated that in the 6 months after the jump, sales increased 7% and global sales 13%. That's just genius marketing. In the end, Red Bull is not about beverages. It's a marketing company, and it's excellent at it. Take the German football team, the RB Leipzig. In 2009, Red Bull purchased the rights to play in the 5th division. They renamed the team, they invested millions of dollars in it, and then in 2019, they classified to the Champions League. Today, this team is worth 500 million euro. And get this, they don't produce anything, not even the drinks. That's the job of TC Pharmaceuticals back in old Thailand. It produces the original concentrate, and then other outsourced factories just make the different flavors. Now, there's something maybe about to change, because this not producing anything model might be about to disappear. Because rumors say that Red Bull Formula One Racing plans to take full responsibility for producing Formula One engines in 2023. So this thing began as a drink and now makes performance car engines. But as for the rest of the products, Red Bull doesn't make the clothing or any goods they sell. Instead, they just focus on making sure the world sees, hears and breathes Red Bull everywhere. And this applies to the factory even. Saravut Jovic says that 95% of employees don't drink Red Bull when they enter the company. But once they're in, they just get hooked on it. So it started with this addicting beverage, but Matisic knew that it was not going to end there. And now the world loves this stuff. Again, 171 countries. It dominates the energy drink market. And of course, you have competitors, but we're talking about 7.5 billion cans in a year. We millennials live at a pace where we need some extra fuel to get through the day. So it's, at least for us, it's no longer just about the party, it's about getting through the day. And that maybe is not that good. See you next week, guys.